Welcome to Life Lessons from the Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll begin by offering some prayers in glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 3, verse 40. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shlokacharitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhyam Swasyaya Namahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. And it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Verse 41 of the third chapter of the first canto. Tadidam grahayam asya sutam atmavatam varam sarva vediti hasanam sharam samudritam. Shri Vyasadeva delivered it to his son, who is the most respected among the self-realized. And after extracting the cream of all Vedic literatures and histories of the universe. Verse 42. Satu samsravayam asa maharajam parikshitam prayopavishtam gangeyam paritam paramarshibhi. Sri Sukadev Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, in his turn delivered the Srimad Bhagavatam to the great Emperor Parikshit, who sat surrounded by sages on the bank of the Ganges, awaiting death without taking food or drink. Verse 43. Krishna svadharma pagate dharma yanadibhi saha kalo nastadrisam mesha puranarko danudita. This Bhagavat Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So those are some prayers of invocation, generally chanted while waiting for participants to arrive. But today, thus far, I see only one participant. So I'm wondering if maybe my advertisement didn't get out. So I'm just going to log into Facebook and see what happened there, if it's actually streaming at all. And once I've checked that, I'll decide how to continue. Okay, coming to the Sri Prahlad page here, because I'm using the third-party broadcast software, so I'm not even sure that it is up online. Okay, well, let's see then. Seems my announcement mustn't have gone up. That's the other thing that happens. Okay, Joni's here. Bhakta Abed is here. Kirtida's here. Shama Manjari's here. So you're all here. Somehow it's just not showing in my on my end that you're present. So not sure what that's about, but I'm grateful for your presence. Generally here on this end, I have an indicator. So let me then just acknowledge your presence. Joan, thank you for joining us from Mawulambar, Australia, and Bhakta Obed. I'm not sure where you're joining us from, but grateful to have you with us. Janaki is also with us, joining from Hungary. So grateful to have you here with us. Janaki says, Haribol from Janaki Dasi. Joan says, I'm on Facebook. Thanks, Joan, for confirming. And then Kirtida joining us from Norway is also with us. Krishna Nam is also with us from Hillsborough in North Carolina. Thank you for that, Krishna Nam. You know that I'm not good with always remembering where our friends are joining from. So thank you very much. Not sure what's going on with the indicator on the software side today, but it's no problem. We're grateful for your presence. So today we are discussing, continuing with the 10th Canto Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 50, verses 41 to 57. And for those of you watching a recording, these classes happen every Monday and Wednesday at 4 p.m. New York time or Eastern Standard Time, and you're most welcome to join us. Currently, I'm reading Mukunda Maharaj's book, Miracle on 2nd Avenue. Joan will remember that when Maharaj published that book, I bought lots of copies and gave them to all of our friends in the Sydney area. Really wonderful book. And I was just so happy to be able to share it with as many people as possible. It's a miracle. It's well titled, aptly titled, Miracle on 2nd Avenue, Prabhupada's miracle of bringing Krishna consciousness to the West. And it's been nice reading it while in New York City, because I have all the frames of reference in which to appreciate Prabhupada's sacrifices and austerities that he undertook. And I was recently reminded, as I was reading Miracle on 2nd Avenue, that I was once speaking with one of the leaders of the Hare Krishna movement during Prabhupada's time and after Prabhupada's time, one of the 11 people that Prabhupada entrusted to continue in very important responsibilities in relation to his movement. And this devotee told me, he says, my biggest regret and mistake, he says, is that we were doing all these great things. And at the time, he said, foolishly, I thought it was me. It was because of me that I was able to achieve all these successes. He says, but obviously it was all Prabhupada's potency. And he said, my biggest mistake is that I didn't realize that at the time. It was much later that Krishna helped me to realize that it was all Prabhupada. And as I heard that realization, I also reflected on my own service to Indraduna Maharaj and just appreciating that my achievements, devotees might appreciate a kirtan or a class or massive preaching programs, and it's all because of him. It was because of him. It is because of him. Devotees come for the kirtan because they want Maharaj's association. They come for the class. What I learned to speak, I learned it from him. And so that's also helpful for me to remember as well. And the interesting thing is that the same applies to all of us in relation to Krishna. All that we do is by his mercy. All that we're able to achieve is because of him. And so today we're going to reflect on this in relation to Jarasandha, whom we were discussing in the previous class, and his continued attacks on Mathura. So once again, we're discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 50, verses 1 through to 47. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We will discuss this under three headings. 1, combined attack, verses 41 to 47. 2, construction of Dvaraka city, verses 4 to 53. And then gifts from the demigods, verses 47 to 57. So we begin with this topic then of combined attacks. And we pick up where we left off when in our previous class, we were discussing how Jarasandha attacked Krishna's city of Mathura. How many times? 18. So he had previously attacked 17 times, and each time what happened? Krishna let him go. Krishna let him go because he wanted Jarasandha to keep bringing his armies of demons for Krishna to defeat. And in that way, Jarasandha was helping Krishna fulfill his mission. But he made Jarasandha feel very powerful. He made Jarasandha feel very strong. And so Jarasandha, he attacks for an 18th time, bringing another huge army of demons, in fact, to fight demons that were in human form, that were kings and the guys, well, they were in the guise of kings. So despite his losses, Jarasandha persists and he leads massive divisions against the Yadus and in Mathura, the Yadus who are protected by Krishna. And as the 18th battle loomed, another army came before Jarasandha's. And this was an army of a Yavana king named Kaliyavana. So just a little brief pause here. This is an interesting name that he's described as a Yavana. You might have heard reference to mlechas, means meat eaters, and Yavanas. Yavanas generally refers to people from Ionia, what today we call Turkey or Greece. So this is interesting. This is an army of foreigners that have come and attacked Mathura. And just as another little side note, there was about a 150-year period historically when there were Greek kings ruling Mathura after Krishna's pastimes, after Vajranabh established temples and so on. There was an extended period of Greek rule over Mathura city, but that's another topic we're going to continue with the Bhagavatam here. So Kalayavana, this king, he lays siege on the city of Mathura. He has an army it's a massive army, 30 million barbarian soldiers, 30 million Yavana soldiers laying siege on Mathura. He was a very, very powerful king, and he met Narada Muni once, and he told Narada Muni, he was complaining to Narada Muni, there's no worthy king for me to fight. Everyone that I come up against, I'm easily able to defeat them. And Narada Muni said, you rascal, you will meet your match in Krishna. If you confront Krishna, then you will surely be defeated. And so Kalyavana, he liked the challenge. And so he decided to lay siege on Mathura city. In this way, Narada Muni is also helping Krishna to fulfill his purpose of relieving the earth of its burden of demoniac defense forces. So when Krishna sees the army of Kalyavana, Krishna, he considered, Sukadeva Goswami tells us, now we are in great danger from two sides. This Yavana king attacks us on one side, and mighty King Jarasandha will soon arrive today or tomorrow from the opposite direction. If we engage with Kalyavana, Jarasandha may come into the city and harm the Yadus, either kill them or carry them away to his city of Magadha. Therefore, Krishna decided to build an impregnable fortress immediately and place his family there, and then deal with the Yavana king. So we can pause here and reflect. One is to consider divine assistance in the illusion of our independence. Jarasandha, he is repeatedly attacking Mathura. Each time he's defeated by Krishna, but then Krishna lets him go. And so we see how we can reflect on how when the soul chooses to reject God and compete with God, even in that, God, Krishna, he helps or assists the soul in perceiving that objective. Krishna's support allows the soul to maintain the illusion of independence and power, somehow that they're giving God competition, even though the soul is fully dependent on Krishna, and Krishna can never be defeated. So while Krishna is the ultimate source of power and authority, he respects the individual soul's choices and desires, even if those choices lead to the illusion of our independence from Krishna. In Jarasandha's case, not only is Krishna assisting him by letting him go, but in this instance, he's allowing or adding the element of luck on Jarasandha's side by introducing the simultaneous invasion of another king coming from foreign lands. And this further highlights the intricate interplay between Krishna's assistance and the soul's free will. It's a quite a wonderful example. And so from this, we can be reminded of the importance of recognizing our dependence on Krishna. In the 1960s, the devotees published a pamphlet here in the United States, declaring our dependence on God. As people celebrate their independence, devotees were celebrating their dependence on Krishna, acknowledging Krishna's presence in all aspects of our lives and understanding that even when we believe ourselves to be independent and powerful, all of our apparent strength, in fact, comes from our connection with Krishna. Well, let us continue then. After discussing with Balaram, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, built a fortress, a grand fortress within the sea. And inside that fortress, he had a city built by Vishvakarma. And in that city were all kinds of marvels. Vishvakarma, he is the architect of the demigods. And so he brought all of his scientific knowledge of city planning, and the verses actually mentioned Vastu, which is interesting. Vastu means structure, but then we can read into it that Vishvakarma has also employed the science of Vastu, that is divine architecture, where the architecture harmonizes with the energies of nature to create auspiciousness. The city featured broad avenues and commercial streets and spacious courtyards. It had beautiful parks and gardens with heavenly trees and creepers. There were towering gateway towers with golden turrets, with upper levels that were crafted from crystal. It had golden roofed houses adorned with jewels, and the roofs had they were inlaid with precious jewels like emeralds. There were treasury buildings and warehouses and stables for fine horses that stood beside the houses. And each residence had a watchtower and a temple for its deity. And the city was also decorated by beautiful palaces that were Krishna's own palaces. Krishna, Yadunath, the lord of the Yadus. And within that city, there were homes for people of all the different varnas and ashrams. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras, Brahmacharis, Grihastas, Vanaprastas, Sannyasis. And so we can pause here and again reflect. Krishna's construction of this magnificent city within the sea in a single day or moment appears quite fantastical from a worldly context. But then as we reflect a little more deeply, we can appreciate a spiritual lesson about transcending the boundaries of mundane reality and possibility. And we are reminded that when viewed from a spiritual perspective, the extraordinary becomes entirely possible, plausible. Krishna's ability to create a city in a single day is testament to his divine omnipotence. And if we read elsewhere in the Bhagavatam, we know that from his breathing, he creates countless universes. So if he can create countless universes from a single breath, why can't he create a fortress city in the sea by his will in a single moment? We also have the idea of the city of Dvaraka as an eternal city that is expanded from the spiritual sky to the terrestrial realm. And so this emphasizes to us the existence of a reality beyond the material world as well. And so we are reminded that our understanding of the world is limited by our material perspective, and that there are spiritual dimensions and realities that transcend the constraints or limitations of our senses. And so to really appreciate Krishna, we have to open our minds and our hearts to the transcendent. Later, the Bhagavatam will reveal that after Krishna's disappearance, this city sank into the sea. And in recent times, archaeologists, they have discovered the remnants of a grand city off the coast of Gujarat, near to a city there that is currently called Dvaraka. And so some speculate that those remains under the seabed are Krishna's great city that is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so, to again summarize, a message for you and I, a lesson for you and I, is that to enter the domain of spiritual revelation and realization, we have to open our minds and hearts to the vast possibilities and dimensions beyond our everyday mundane experience. So let's go to our third topic then. This is verses 54 to 57, which conclude this chapter, chapter 50 of the Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami said, Krishna, now performing pastimes on earth in Dvaraka, received offerings from the demigods of whatever powers of control Krishna had previously delegated to those demigods to exercise their particular authority. And so, Indra, he gave the Sudharma assembly hall. And this is a wonderful, wonderful palatial building. And anyone who enters into that building is protected from the laws of death. That's one of the special characteristics of the Sudharma assembly hall. And that's where Maharaj Ugrasen would hold court. He would sit on a throne. Krishna would also sit there as a Yadu prince and royal advisor. And the Yadu court would be held in the Sudharma assembly hall. Krishna would travel there every day to participate in the assembly of the court. Lord Varuna, he offered horses to Krishna as swift of the mind. Some of these horses were pure dark blue, and others were a pure white. And Kuvera, the treasure of the demigods, he gave 8 mystic treasures to Krishna. And the rulers of different planets, they each presented their own opulences to Krishna. And so once the city was nicely constructed and laid out, Krishna transported all the residents of Mathura to the new city by the power of his mystic Yoga Maya. And once all the residents of Mathura were safe in Dvaraka, Krishna consulted with Balaram, who had remained in Mathura to protect the city and to protect the people. And then, wearing a garland of lotuses, but carrying no weapons, Krishna left Mathura city by the main gate. And that's how this chapter concludes, on a cliffhanger, because we're wondering, What happens next? That we know the city is surrounded by 30 million soldiers and a barbarian king. And Krishna has left the city by the main entrance without weapons, just wearing a garland of lotus flowers. So to learn what happens next, you have to come to the next class when it's announced. Otherwise, you need to go and read the next chapter. So we can reflect here briefly. The demigods' offerings to Krishna, it actually continues this theme that I started with. Jarasanda's attacks on Krishna, they were by Krishna's mercy. And now the demigods, they're offering gifts to Krishna. That's also by Krishna's mercy. Sukadeva Goswami specifically says each demigod gave to Krishna the opulence that Krishna had given to them. And so it's like what we say, holding a candle to the sun as an offering. If you take a lamp and you offer that ghee lamp to the sun, that's what the demigods are doing here. They're offering their ghee lamps to Krishna, who is the source of all heat and light. Otherwise, the other example we give is of offering Ganges water to the Ganges. When you see people in Mayapur or other parts of India taking bath in Ganga, they will, before taking bath, they will respectfully stand in the water up to their navel and they'll cup some water into their hands and then they will pour that water into Ganges. What better offering is there to Ganga Devi than Ganga herself? More auspicious than flowers or incense or any other item that we might bring and offer. And so the demigods, they're offering Krishna. What is Krishna's? What's the point of that? The point is love, loving exchange. The demigods have asked Krishna to appear. He has at their request. And so they're showing their gratitude and appreciation to Krishna by offering back to him the opulence that they received in their roles as celestial deities responsible for various aspects of the universe. And for you and I, the same lesson applies. Making offerings to Krishna means that we take the leaves and the flowers and the fruits and the other gifts, the water that we've received from Krishna, and we offer it to him to show our appreciation and our surrender to him. Although Krishna is the source of all opulence, he appreciates and values our gestures of love, regardless of their material significance. And we get this nice bookend. Krishna is helping the souls to compete with him and oppose him, if that's what the souls desire. Krishna also helps us to serve him, if that's what we desire. So the lesson for us is, what do we want from Krishna? He will reciprocate. If we're feeling unqualified or incapable of bhakti, don't worry, make the effort. Krishna will help you. He helps everyone. He is the friend and well-wisher of all living beings. So we'll conclude with a prayer. Beloved Krishna, in the grand theater of existence, we, your dependent parts, believing in the mirage of independence, set our sails and chart our courses. Yet it is you, in the form of the gentle breeze, the ocean waves, and even the boat we chart, that supports all our endeavors, allowing us to maintain the fragile illusion of power. Jarasanda's repeated attacks on Mathura provide a reminder of our own struggles in the face of our perceived competition with the divine. You, Krishna, extend your hands to assist our desires, even though we can never truly challenge your omnipotent might. With a touch of divine providence, you introduced another king's invasion, illustrating the intricate dance between your assistance and our free will. O Krishna, we are but shadows in the radiance of your eternal light. May we learn to recognize our dependence on your divine grace. In less than a single day, dear Krishna, you created a city in the sea, a feat that defies the limits of worldly comprehension. As with each breath you birth countless universes, and in this city we glimpse the boundless expanse of your omnipotence. This city, an expansion of the eternal Dvaraka, reminds us of the spiritual dimension that transcends our earthly perspective. The reality of the material world is but a facet of existence. For you, Lord of all, preside over realms beyond our worldly horizons. The demigods in reverence offered their gifts to your divine presence, acknowledging your supreme authority in the cosmic symphony. The lesson lies not in the opulence, but in the sincerity of giving. In surrendering the abundance you bestow upon us in every breath, Krishna, we offer our hearts and actions as tokens of our devotion. In this sacred exchange of love and grace, may we realize our dependence upon you and find our path to you. Jai. Let me acknowledge some of you who have joined us and left a little message. We have Bijoy joining us from India. We have Gopal Govinda Shamji, who says, Hare Krishna Shri Prahlad Prabhu. Thank you, Gopal Govinda, for joining. We have Sheshavati, who's joined us from Sydney, Australia. Thank you for being here. Nikunja is with us from Auckland, New Zealand. Nikunja says, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you, Nikunja, for joining. We have the Sevas, Seva Puri and Seva Devi, who say, Hare Krishna, dear Shri Prahlad and devotees. And I really like the peacock emoji that Seva Devi and Seva Puri are using. There's lotus feet and there's a peacock reminding us of Vrindavan. Gaurachandra Ji joining us from New Zealand. Says Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Gaurachandra. Janava Mata says, Lord Krishna, the topmost manager. Indeed, he is. He is we can describe him in unlimited ways. The ultimate manager, the ultimate conductor of the symphony, dearest friend, well-wisher. There are not enough ways to describe Krishna and his grace upon us. Achutanandaji joining us from the United Kingdom says, Gauranga. Thank you, Achutananda, for joining us. I know it's quite late there, so grateful to have you with us. Let's see, I know there are others that... Okay, I'll try to bring them up because... Oh, that's as much as I can get up at a time. So let's see here. Induleka's with us as well, joining us from Boston, Massachusetts. Induleka says, Hare Krishna, thank you for another wonderful class. These classes are now on Mondays and Wednesdays, ? And the answer is yes. Mondays and Wednesdays at 4 p.m. In Australia and New Zealand, that translates differently. It becomes Tuesdays and Thursdays. So when I moved to the US, I changed to Mondays and Wednesdays. So yeah, as much as possible, we try to be present to give the class. So thanks for joining, Induleka. All right, so we'll conclude there. Thank you all so very much for your presence. It's an honor and a pleasure to relish Srimad Bhagavatam with you. May you be safe, may you be healthy, may you be peaceful, may your hearts be filled with love for devotees, may your attachment and your relish, taste for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam deepen day by day. May your taste for chanting Krishna's name with attention grow day by day. May your appreciation for Krishna's appearance in the form of his deity to accept your service deepen day by day. May your appreciation of the holy Dham, the places where Krishna resides, either in his deity form or where he's performed pastimes directly, may your appreciation of those places deepen day by day. And may your taste for serving Vaishnavas grow and deepen day by day. And with this deepening of bhakti, may your heart be softened that moves you to share these treasures with others as well. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Haribol.